Hey, good morning, guys. What's up? My name is Callie V, coach. I do have a long history in health and fitness as an online health and fitness coach, but even longer than that, I have been coaching softball for, well, coming up on 20 years. I know, it's crazy. So, I had this great idea, and it's something that's been brewing in my brain for a while. And it's this amazing concept that I have going down. And, let this be day one of many videos to come to train other coaches, to help other coaches, to mentor other coaches. And I'm not talking like health and fitness coaches or handlers for heavy lifting competitions, stuff like that. I'm talking just like overall coach. The epiphany was, Callie, you are a coach. And I'm very attracted to life coaching because I connect a lot of that to what I do and what I've been doing for almost 20 years with my athletes. But at the same time, I'm not a certified life coach. Is that something I'm looking into? Yeah, no. I have other professional gears that are shifting right now, but I really wanted to start getting this out there because I feel like, everything's kind of starting to come full circle. Like a lot of my they're in their 20s now. But these players that I worked with before, they're adults now. And they're rinsing and repeating. They are coaching as well. And actually, I have two of them that help me with clinics. And it's really cool to get to mentor them and just to be a part of their coaching career. So this is day one of what I dub coordinated coaching. And why is it coordinated coaching? Well, because it takes a lot of coordination to make things work, right? I mean, you look at an athlete, when they have that coordination, they can properly move their mechanics in such a way to hit the ball out of the park. Okay? So, what I want to talk about today is your why. Why are you coaching? Let's just be honest here. I don't think any of you start coaching because you're going to make money. Personally, for myself, looking back, I was 18 years old. My first pitching client, she was 12. A beautiful relationship came out of that. She's like my best friend, my little sister from another mister. We always joke about that. But myself, as well as my oldest son, we were in her wedding. And her little boy calls me auntie. I mean, he is considered my kiddo's nephew. No, my husband's nephew, my kiddo's cousin. Sorry. But he's straight up, Uncle Auntie. And I love it. So that's just a prime example of my why. There was a need for it, yes. Did I just jump in and fill it? No. I solely enjoy not just teaching athletes, especially softball players, but I do have coaching experience in other realms of sports. But as a former collegiate softball player, that's kind of my thing, But I personally enjoy teaching athletes to find their wall. The wall that we've all faced before. If you're an athlete and you're listening to this and now you're a coach, that wall that somebody helped you see the equation of how to get over it. Right now I have an athlete who's gestational diabetes, so she has type 1 diabetes. And I've been working with her since she was 8 years old. Every day she has a wall. Every day. Every practice at a quarter till practice is supposed to end, she falls low. It's just crazy. And I've learned as her coach to get in as much physicality training that we can get done. But then in those 15 minutes when she's, replenishing her sugars, getting back on task with her levels, that's that one-on-one time. She and I and her catcher, I also form these amazing relationships with these catchers. We sit there and we talk about life and school and, gosh, I think last time it was event session, and these girls have this safe place to go. So currently right now, I had to block my Fridays because I do work out of state on the weekends, minimal 2, but here lately it's been a lot more than 2. So just so I could continue to not only keep my parents accountable to the practices that they have paid for their daughters, I had to just clear Friday, and basically Monday I have one session. It's either pitching, hitting. I'm going to start strength training with her mainly focusing on her short twitch muscles and just increasing her speed as an athlete. She is getting ready to be 13, so this is a big thing for me. Tuesday I have 1, Wednesday I have 3, and they're typically, I usually have a hitting or fielding lesson with the one. The next one is pitching, and the next one is a dual pitching lesson. And then Thursday is another pitching lesson, and Friday, like I said, is blocked. So it's basically, I have this waiting list created, and it's awesome that there's a need for it now like that, but at the same time it kind of breaks my heart because I've seen personally, I've been treated terribly by a coach when I was in college, and it was probably one of the most devastating things I ever went through as an athlete. But then I had something harder to face, within months of that. That's when I threw the blood clot in my brain, and through the blood clot in my brain, which was 98% occluded, they found that I had a protein S and C deficiency, which ended my softball career. NCAA would not clear me to play anymore. So that was probably the biggest travesty that I faced as an athlete. And in turn, I learned so much from that to teach my athletes, don't put all your eggs in one basket. You're not just a softball player. You're not just a volleyball player. I even speak with my husband's athletes. He is a head coach of 2 baseball programs and the creator of another program here in town. And he coaches our boys. And it's funny, he tries to coach our daughter, but I'm like, it's me. I got this, But I will even talk to his players about how, hey, baseball isn't everything. I am faith-based, so one thing I saw that I did wrong as a believer in Christ is I put softball everything in my life, and I use it as a testimony that, God didn't kill me, but he took out that thing that I was putting in front of him. I wasn't able to play anymore, so those who can't teach, I take that to a whole new level, because let me tell you, if I were still able to play, I would be playing. But, all it takes is one good shot and mama bleeds out in the field. That's no bueno. Being married and having 3 kids, I need to be here. So it's a big deal to me. So with these athletes, I really try to almost allow them to open up their head to negative coaching. Like, when you see it, this is what you need to do. I don't want them to do what I did. I shut down. And I was 9 hours away from home. I didn't have that positive reinforcement. I was running a lot on emotion and anger. Going from my freshman year as a top NJCAA player, returning player, starting pitcher, batting average of .475, moving into my sophomore year and pitching only 6 games, winning 4 of those 6 games, and batting once because the coach forgot to sub me out. I want my players to be able to face adversity, to face that wall head on and get over it, because that's the beauty in being an athlete. Where am I at now in my life? Well, I'm a bodybuilder. I've competed in a couple shows. I'm looking into powerlifting because you know what? God blessed me with some big muscles. And I'm not boasting. I think as females, we tend, and it doesn't matter what age you are, we tend to kind of put ourselves in this box of how we think we should look. And maybe it probably took me almost 35 years to realize, and I'm 37 now, but it took me about 35 years, from the time I was born to realize I'm not going to be that skinny chick. That's just not me. That's not my body. I'm a mesomorph, I'm not an ectomorph. So I'm looking at these things, and as I'm looking at these things that I'm experiencing now in my life, I see these 12, 13-year-old girls starting to go through the cycle of, I should be looking like her, I'm going to quit eating, blah, blah. You're going to quit eating? Are you an athlete, or are you just here to look like this person that you see on Instagram, social media? And I'm not knocking social media. I'm a fan of social media. I think social media is a platform for people to shine their light bright. But with that being said, a whole new type of bullying has surfaced. And that's the anonymous bullying. Like the, I thought you were my friend, and come to find out, you're not. not putting a name, and then all kinds of people chime in on it. And that's a form of bullying, you know? So it's just weird. I know it's so weird. Like, I was born in '80, so I've seen a lot of like no internet, and then the coming on of internet, and then the coming on of social media, and it's like, you know, our 13-year-old's generation, I'm kind of nervous. Our 10-year-old, I think he's gonna have it figured out, and yeah, our 7-year-old, I think she's got it. But so back to the foundation is I teach my players, first and foremost, you have to put something before, whether it's God, whether it's your, you know, religion, whatever you're at. You know, softball is just something you're good at. You know, it's not who you are. And I say that with a grain of salt because I go back to the town that I graduated high school in, and people will look at me and they're like, you look so familiar. Who are you? Why do I know you? And I look totally different than I looked in high school, you know? And I say, well, I played softball. And they're like, that's it, softball. Softball. People called me softball. That was my thing, you know? That was my brand. So this is something that I feel like a lot of coaches need to remember, especially when we have those amazing athletes that you know have a future at a professional level. Because as they grow older, guess what? They're going to get married. They're going to have kids. Life is going to come at them. They're going to have a mortgage. They're going to have all this stuff. And if they put the pressure on themselves as an athlete, well, if I didn't have the sport, I wouldn't have any of this. And then they get injured. You talk about hitting rock bottom. There are people that don't come back from that kind of fall. So I think the most important thing as a coach is you're working on the core of your athlete. You know, why? Why are you coaching? Are you coaching to win? Are you wanting all the wins and no losses? Because I'm a firm believer in you have to lose in order to learn how to win. That's the truth. Because I have been around plenty of teams who've never lost before, and not only the whole vibe, the environment that team puts off, the energy, but the parents, anybody who's sitting on that side, they're cold, they're mouthy, they don't know what it's like to lose, and they're just up on that pedestal chirping away. And guess what? Do you know what pedestals were built for? Yes. To get higher and higher? Well, you fall off of pedestals. So don't put your athletes on a pedestal, because they're going to fall. You teach them whatever tragedy, travesty, any trial that happened in your life and how you turned it into a triumph. That's what you instill into your athletes. Because today's day and age, it's not like it was 20 years ago. You know, I think the biggest thing I dealt with growing up was having an abusive father. My biological father was extremely abusive, not just to me, but the entire family. And seeing him one way in this light and then seeing him in another light. So I had to deal with almost like two different people, you know. Divorce. My parents got divorced when I was 16. Like, that was a shocker back then. Now, it's almost like co-parenting is a brand new hashtag on Instagram. Like, well, I guess we didn't make it. You know, our child's only 2, so we better split up. But we're great co-parenting. Like, do you know the statistics are against you as a young couple when your kids are under 5 to get divorced? As an athlete, you should be like, come on, bring it on. You should be competitive. I honestly believe that that's a big reason why my husband and I, you know, we're both coaches. That's why we are so dadgum determined, no matter how tired we are, to figure out, you know, what's eating at our relationship. And a lot of times, I'm going to tell you right now, it's communication. We're coaches. We don't talk. We yell. I'm kidding. No, really, we yell. We yell all the time at my house. My mom's like, you guys yell too much. And then one day she was like, oh my gosh, I figured it out. You guys are coaches. That's why. Ding, ding, ding. Winner, winner, chicken dinner, right? So, anyways, if you're watching this and you are a coach, or maybe you're thinking about stepping into coaching, I highly recommend, if you're stepping in, volunteer. Feed your passion. What is it about that sport that helped you pull through some of the darkest times in your life? You know, and maybe you have yet to reach that point in your life. Maybe you're just a natural born athlete who, everything you touch turns to gold. But guess what? You have walls, and it may be a matter of time before you figure that out. Like I said, you have to lose in order to know how to win. So you have to learn to win. It's the nature of athleticism. Bottom line. It's just like out there in social media with everybody creating their own businesses and entrepreneurs and working from home. The big thing they push there is you have to be willing to fail forward. You have to be willing to learn from your failure. Without failure, you don't know what you're doing wrong in order to improve. Same thing goes to you as a coach and to your athletes, right? I'm going to leave you with this. Let's talk slumps real fast. This is something I love to talk about because I've worked with athletes, starting at 8 all the way up till 18, okay? And they go on and play college sports. So, the slump. It's not something as a parent that we like to watch our kids go through, because we as a parent, we know that our kids are freaking amazing, and that's bias, right? Our kids are amazing. They could do no wrong. No. I'm not the type of parent that thinks that my kid can do no wrong. My husband and I kind of lean on that balance beam of, well, he may have done it, or there's no way, that's so out of character. Let's get all the facts and then make a choice, So in these slumps, 99% of the time, your child is growing. And I don't mean like emotionally, mentally. Sometimes emotionally when it comes to a girl with the hormones. But most of the time, it is their physical growth. When girls get taller, when girls start growing boobies, when girls start growing booties, that throws their sense of balance off. Okay? So, in 20 years of doing one-on-one lessons, I have seen these girls go through these valleys, and I've seen their parents be so like, what's wrong with her? And it wasn't until probably the last 10 years I really started voicing, these one-on-one conversations with parents saying, hey, back off. Look at your daughter's pants. They're 2 inches too high. She hit a growth spurt. Oh, yeah. Let's work with what we got right now. And believe me, we've done so much work prior to this growth spurt. Her muscle memory will bring everything back. So, as a coach, when you feel that passionate about something, because, yes, you do have that relationship with the parent, but that athlete, they're like an extension of your family. You may look at them as a niece. You may look at them as a sister, and like a little baby sister or something, They're an extension of your passion. And you have to be willing, as a coach, to stand up for them. I go through all the time when my female athletes hit the change, when they start their menses prior to, and some of them, it's a whole year up until it starts, they are walking emotional time bombs. And it's something that I like to joke with, with their parent, oh, when's it gonna, and sometimes it takes a year. And so, coach, if you are struggling with your why, and you've been doing this for a while, you need to go back into time and remember when you started coaching. And I'm gonna say this, like, if you started coaching in high school, like as a teacher, and you started coaching like at a high school level, I know you didn't do it for the money, okay? That's the sacrifice a coach makes every single day. And not only does the coach make that sacrifice, but the entire family makes the sacrifice, okay? So if their full-on career is teaching and coaching, that is a team, family sacrifice, okay? But it's the passion. They love what they do. Okay, so if you're thinking about coaching, you need to ask yourself, well, why am I even thinking about it? I highly encourage you to step out there and start volunteering. The YMCA, they have great little teams that they do like itty bitty sports, and they need volunteer coaches. So yes, it's going to drive you nuts, like coaching 3-year-olds. I remember coaching our middle at 3 in t-ball, and I was like, what am I doing? But by that time, I had already been coaching for more than 12 years, so it still kind of threw me off. But if you're thinking about coaching, I want you to just go ahead and volunteer. Start working with, start working with like 7 and 8 year olds. That's a good place to start. That's where I started with Little League. And I grew with these girls all the way up until All-Stars in New Mexico. It was pretty cool. And got to go to tournament and got to be their coach for All-Star tournament. It was awesome. And I remember, on the elevator they got in a fight about something, and they started cursing at each other, and I looked at the other coach and I was like, and this was before husband, before kids, I said, wow, this is great birth control. So coach, remember your passion, whether you've been doing it for years or whether you're thinking about doing it. Just build your foundation and keep reminding your athlete that they are more than just their sport. I think that's the big picture, because your athlete's going to get older and life is going to obviously come into their life. And I'll be real with you, your athletes are going to face some big challenges that you aren't going to be able to foresee, and you're going to need to be there for them, and as their mentor and as their coach, teach them how to get over that wall. And it can be something so small as failing a test to something as so big as losing a parent. And that's what makes coaching such an amazing position in life, because you're there. You're at the peaks with them and you're in the valley with them. And they see that. All right, guys. Have a wonderful day. And again, this is Callie V, Coach Callie V with Coordinated Coaching.